Hello. So I've got heaps of your questions about Zapier, and I will go through them at the end. But what I wanted to do is really set the scene about what Zapier is and how we can make it work quite easily for you. So it's quite a concept that is difficult to grasp if you're not familiar with it. But I thought on the weekend, I've been doing some housework, right? I thought if you go to Bunnings and you've got two hoses and they are not the right sizes, you need to find something that will connect the two hoses together. And that is basically what Zapier is. It's a connector between two things that don't normally talk to one another. So in the questions I've seen, people are saying, oh, I've got HubSpot CRM or I've got Zoho. Do I still need Zapier? Yes, because Zapier is not a CRM. It's purely a connector between two or more apps that wouldn't talk together if you didn't have it. Well, you could make them talk together, and that's what people would do 10 years ago. They would pay a programmer to connect these things together by coding the API. So Zapier is the next level on top of that. It's taken the API, which is the application programming interface that your web developer would have to code, and it's made it available to us non-techies to do it ourselves. So as you would know, there is no system that does everything you need, and you even looking for a system for your business that will do everything you need doesn't exist. But nowadays there's tools like Zapier, and there's plenty of other competitors, but I'm just going to focus on Zapier today because it is one of the most important one and one of the most popular. There's tools like that, Zapier, that will make things connect with one another. So just remember that little hose connector, that's what it is. So let's look at a very, very simple example, and we're going to go through an example that's a little bit more in depth, but just to talk you through this. So with Zapier, there's always a trigger. It's something that will trigger another action. So in this instance, we've got on the top, the Gmail, an email that has an attachment is a trigger. So Zapier is going to run and it's going to wait for the trigger. So in this instance, it's going to wait for an attachment in a Gmail to arrive. And once it finds it, it's going to do an action to it. And that action is the second step, or the third and the fourth. And in this instance, the action is to upload a file to Dropbox. So very simple. You see the interface. When you click on it, it's all something we can all understand. It's written in plain English. But what you need to know to make this happen is you need to have really kind of the standard size hoses that you want to connect. If you have a custom built system, and what could happen, or an old school legacy system that hasn't been updated, it might not be able to talk to Zapier. So it might not have that little icon there in Zapier. And we see that with a lot of online shops that are, not popular, not like Shopify or WooCommerce or online booking systems for tourism. So if you go to Zapier and you notice you can't see your system in there, the first thing you want to do is obviously pick up the phone or send a support ticket to the developers of your system and ask them, when are they thinking of integrating to Zapier? And if they say, what's that? You might not have much of a chance, but they might tell you that they don't have the full connection to Zapier, but they've got something called a webhook. So a webhook, you need to be a little bit like MacGyver, and do a little bit more of coding, but really, really not that much, and connect the webhook to Zapier. So they would generally provide you some instructions. So it's just a little level, a little below, but it means you can still do it. So if you're about to go and, select a new email system for your business, or think about a new CRM, or think about a new Dropbox style system, what you want to do, just check in Zapier that it already exists. It will already give you, if it doesn't exist, generally you should go, let's keep looking, because every system that exists now should be connectable to Zapier. So let's think of a few use cases. So a use case is, when would you be willing, or when would you use Zapier? So imagine you have a new customer, either in your booking system, in your online shop, wherever, and you want to pass their details, potentially their first name, last name, maybe their birth date, to your CRM. So your CRM is your customer relationship management system, or potentially an email marketing program. Think MailChimp, MailerLite, and so on. So this is the perfect example of when you would use Zapier. You would connect your shop to your CRM and pass the data via Zapier. Another one is a very simple one, would be a follow-up with an email or feedback form that you would send a customer after an online sale. So you might have a Google form for a feedback form, a Survey Monkey, anything. And as soon as someone buys something from your shop, you might want to put them in a queue or with a little delay of a few days, and then send them a link to your feedback form. So instead of having an assistant emailing them that, you use Zapier to do that. Another example, if you're familiar with Trello, and if you're familiar with Gmail or G Suite, or now it's called Google Workspace, and probably same happens with Microsoft 365, is you would be able to add a star in your Gmail, and that would automatically create a Trello card or create a to-do list for you. Very simple. Another one is create a digest of all your new zero sales invoices that are sent to you on a daily, weekly, or monthly basis. So in Zapier, there's some really good guides that they have developed, and I've put these down here, zapier.com/learn, and when you go on there, you'll see there's another one, which is the starter guide that I have down here at the bottom as well. So plenty of good ideas to look at, all written in plain English. And it will, if you don't know what you could be using Zapier for, and you create an account and you just look at it and go, what the heck am I going to do with this? Start with the guide. It'll give you some really good ideas. But basically, think about if you're doing a task more than once on a computer every day, and it connects different systems, there's a highly likely chance for you to be able to succeed with Zapier. So let's have a look. I've created a little example for you in a Zapier account that we don't use, so just a demo one. And I wanted to show you how you can create or update a subscriber list in your email list when there is a new sale that comes in your shop. So for this instance, I've used an online booking system called Cloudbeds. I could have used Shopify, I could have used WordPress, I could have used, I'm looking at Eloise here, I could have used Resdy, because I know we've already done that together. Just think about the option that you would be using in your own system. So I'll take you through a little tour of the Zapier account first. So I have to tell you, it's free. And there is definitely a forever free plan that you can use. It has limitations in terms of number of zaps that you can use and so on. But you may want to pay for the next level account. So we ran on the free plan for a long, long time. And then as the business grew, we decided to spend, I think we pay about $50 a month to be able to have more functionalities. So for what it does with for us, it's really, really cheap. When you log in, you can see it's trying to get you to connect one thing to another. So there's really a way that it seems to be assisting you already from the very get-go. And it's already got some recommended workflows. So they used to call them recipes, now they call them workflows for you. So when you connect to Zapier, it asks you for your industry, sector, and so on. And that's how it can provide you with some recommended workflows. When you look on the left there, it tells you which zaps you already have. So here I have got 3 zaps that are turned off. Now, here's a little tip. Every time you update your zap, it will turn it off, but it's not going to tell you, we're going to turn off your zap now that you're updating it. So make sure at the end to double check that you've turned it on, because if you don't, you'll be in the same predicament that I was many times, and you would have lost a fair bit of data. So just make sure every time you've modified your zap that you turn it on the very top right. So I've prepared this one earlier, and I've connected Cloudbeds, which is an online shop for tourism, and I've chosen, and this is quite important here, it shows you, and that depends on the strength of the integration, it shows you what options, what triggers exist for Cloudbeds. So in this instance, you could have a new transaction when there's a new in-house guest. So basically, you know, when the person arrives, you could have a specific something that goes to them. When someone checks out, when someone cancels, when there's a new guest who is created, or where there's a new reservation, and so on. So Cloudbeds is a really well integrated system. So that's what gives me all these options. You might notice that your system doesn't have as many options, but in this instance, I'm just going to say, all right, a new booking, new guest. Then it's asking me which account. So obviously you can't connect to your competitor's account or anything. You will need to log in and connect it. And then it always has a test little trigger. So I've tested it. It went in Cloudbeds and pulled out everything that it can see for this trigger. So this is all the stuff I'll be able to pass around. So I'll continue. And what did I want it to do? So, you know, you could click plus and you can see the gazillions of 2,000 plus options of apps that are connected. But I've already selected MailerLite here, which is one of the really cool and cheap and simple to use email marketing platforms for small businesses. So I've connected MailerLite, and once again, it's offering me lots of things that I can do. So in this instance, it doesn't call them triggers because it's not the first one. It's calling them action on events. So I've selected, I want to create or update a subscriber. So when there is a new guest that hits my Cloudbeds account, I want to go to MailerLite and update my subscriber, create or update. So this is where the magic happens now. This is what we're going to tell MailerLite that we want to have as fields. So in MailerLite, I've gone and selected my subscriber group. So I've grouped my guests in MailerLite. Instead of calling them tags, they call them groups. So I've created a group called accommodation guests in MailerLite, but for this business, their target market, well, they've actually got two businesses. They've also got a cafe. So obviously I don't want to save the guests that stay in the accommodation to the list of the cafe. I want to save them as accommodation guests. So everyone that comes from Cloudbeds is going to be added to MailerLite and labeled or tagged or grouped as an accommodation guest. So if I want to email all the people that have stayed with me, I can easily just select that subscriber group. Then when I go in here, I could be writing anything. So that would be what we call hard coding. So if I did that, the person would be called elvis@1770getaway.com.au, or basically the email, and then it will always have this after. So just be careful never to add any text here, but just use the selector. So when you click on here, it's obviously looking at everything that's above it. So in this instance, only Cloudbeds, and it's allowing me to choose. So I'll just start mapping email, first name. Do we want MailerLite to send them an autoresponder? Certainly not. Do we want to resubscribe them if they were previously unsubscribed? You've got to be careful with this, but generally you should be able to in Australia. Then we add their last name, company name, you can decide to map it, country, and so on. What's quite interesting here is I've gone and added an extra field in my MailerLite, which is called birthday. And then I'm passing the birth date from Cloudbeds to the birthday field in MailerLite, which, as you would guess, would allow me to do some birthday vouchers and so on if I wanted to. So then we'll just test the action. And I've already tested it before, and it's confirmed to me that this person, which was Elvis Test in Cloudbeds, has been added to my MailerLite properly and passed on the data that we want. So at the end, all I have to do is turn on the action, and remember, don't check that it's always on before you close. And now you can just forget about it. Basically, every new person that comes in Cloudbeds will be added to your accommodation group in MailerLite. And that's all that you have to do. So this is what I've shown you today with this. Now, your actions on the right if you have never done it before, as I was mentioning, what you want to do is sign up for your free Zapier account, review the industry guides, play around, you know, until you turn things on, you're not going to break anything, and let us know how you go with your results. But waking up this morning and looking at how many of you had actually subscribed for this session today, I talked to Liz and I thought we have to put some sort of package together because we constantly get asked for help with Zapier. So if you're feeling a little bit stuck, what you can do is you can go and look at our package, which we've called our marketing automation package in both our Navi shop or our Tourism Tribe shop. And if you'd like us to help you set up your first Zapier automation, so that will include first a consultation to look at what systems you have to see how well it will integrate. And then we will do it for you and set up your first few automations. Please, I urge you to do that. We've created that package and it's on sale at the moment for $600 instead of $690. So thank you very much. I hope you liked today's session and Zap's given you plenty of ideas, and I will see you around the block.
Thanks, Fab. See ya.
Bye.